Hello everyone and welcome again to my YouTube channel. I'm VR Stuntman and this is the deciding round of the GT300 League at vrroom.org for September 2013, and we have the final race, which is the reversed grid race at the Nürburgring GPF, the modern Grand Prix track, and starting on pole position, you can see him here, is GBS Hatcher, who pulled out of the previous race, and so because of that he inherits pole. Second on the grid, here he is, that is Slicker, who's had a little bit of a disappointing evening's racing so far, but let's see if he can capitalise on his good grid position. Third on the grid is Rick GT5, and let's see if he can use his position to get a good result. Fourth on the grid after an embarrassing spin in the previous race, Stuntman has to be a favourite for this race, starting so high up the grid. In fifth place we have Scouser. Scouser is currently sixth in the championship and he needs a minor miracle to take fifth. Only a first or second would do the job. Then behind him is Jezza, who is going quickly this week with upgrades to the setup of his RX-7, and he had a strong race in the previous round, so he's someone to look out for. Then we have seventh on the grid, N10, in the probably the fastest of the Celikas. He's in a battle with Milada for third place in the championship, and he needs to finish within a place of Milada to make sure he hangs on to that third. So Milada, here he is, has a lot of work to do. He is currently fourth in the championship and really needs to beat N10 and get a car between them, I think, to move up to third. And here is the champion, Scalebreaker, once again champion and crowned with one race to go. He was given dispensation to use any car he liked for this race, and he's chosen to stick with the Artigaria, so it's obviously a pretty useful car around here. Right, we'll get on with the racing and we'll go on board with Scalebreaker at the back of the grid, and a good start from him. And that's someone off on the left, that's Hatcher, and what he's done is, because he withdrew from the previous race, he's surrendered his pole position and got out of everyone's way, so a very supporting gesture from him. Oh, there's a collision there between Scalebreaker and Milada, and there's damage on both cars, I think, so a bad start for Milada and Scalebreaker. I think Scale didn't quite realise where Milada was and caused that one. So I'm just going to replay the start because we have Slicker in the lead, and let's see how that came about. Focus on Slicker's car. Good start. We can see Stuntman aggressive behind. Stunt up to second already, ahead of Rick as they come plunging down to the first corner. Slicker on the inside, Stunt on the outside, and it looks like Stunt takes the lead there. So great start from fourth on the grid. Oh, and a little nudge from Slicker, a little touring car tap perhaps, and Slicker just runs Stunt out a little wide, and so Slicker in the lead, and it's a good start for the Celikas. Rick is third, making a move there, or it looked like he was making a move, but he's coming under threat now from N10. Another fantastic start from N10, from he was seventh up to third now, because Rick's got off. Oh no. Let's go on board with Rick and see what happened. Did he get a tap or anything? Oh, and he spun again on dirty tyres. So this is Rick, and he just runs a little wide, puts two wheels on the grass, entering that corner, and spin deep into the gravel. We're going to go on board with Stuntman though. Stunt and Slicker now with a bit of a gap behind them. And into the hairpin. Oh, a little bit of contact there, and Stunt trying to avoid that, almost spins. It was a half spin. So that gives Slicker the advantage. Now we're right on the back of N10. In fact, let's go on Scouser's view because this is really close. Scouser from Jezza and Scalebreaker passing Jezza there. So Breaker is up from 9th to 5th already. And we're only halfway around lap 1. Through the critical bit curve, and look at the run Breaker gets through there. In the slipstream, surely this is going to be job done. Going to go on board with Slicker though, because here comes Stuntman on the inside. 2 abreast into the chicane, and we can see behind us Breaker makes a move on Scouser, but Slicker holds onto the lead. Oh, someone a bit sideways at the back. I think that was Jezza, possibly Hatcher, probably Hatcher actually. Oh, and a mistake from Stuntman. He's twitched in that corner, and N10 is now alongside, but Stunt picking up the slipstream. We're right on board with him, and it's going to be 2 abreast. Is it into turn 1? No. Oh, here's someone chucking it up the inside. That's Scouser making a move on Scalebreaker into turn 1. Doesn't quite come off. So Slicker still leads from Stunt, who we're riding on board with. And Slicker got a little bit of a break. Ooh, big sideways, real hoon from N10 there. Oh, and someone off. That was Breaker running a bit wide. So Breaker only up to 4th. Progress has been halted a bit. And meanwhile, we've lost Malada off the back of the pack. So Malada, I think he ran slightly into the gravel in bit curve on lap 1, and he's well off the lead, and that looks like 3rd in the championship for N10 unless something major happens in this race. We're going to ride on board with Slicker now because he's been closed in. I do love these rear shots. Really see the cars moving around, moving sideways. Just been through the Schumacher S and now into Kumo, and the top 4 all closing up here. And Slicker just a little bit wide through bit curve, and he's going to be vulnerable as they come onto the brakes, and Stunt is through. So we're right on board Stunt's car, and Slicker late on the brakes. Oh, and Stunt's gone off. I think he was just eased off the track by Slicker. Yeah, Slicker backs off. Let's see if we can see that from N10's point of view, because he's just inherited the lead. So we'll just rewind and go on a forward view of N10. And there's Slicker later on the brakes on the inside, and just bumps Stunt into the barriers, and so it's a lead for N10, and Breaker is up to 2nd. Well, they're running wide and under pressure from Scouser, so N10 with a bit of a lead there. We're right on board with Breaker. We know his car's not very fast on the straight, but he is in the slipstream of N10 ahead. Deep on the brakes. Oh, and here comes Jezza. Oh, and Jezza just runs into Stuntman, who runs into Scouser because of that, and Jezza up 2 places. Just light contact. I don't think there would have been any damage there. There's no damage on Jezza's car. There's no damage on Stuntman's car. So this is N10's point of view, and we've still got 7 cars in this lead battle. N10 from Breaker. Jezza 3rd, Scouser is 4th, Stunt is only 5th after starting 4th. And then we have Slicker and Hatcher at the back of this group, and there's someone off. That was Hatcher by the looks of it. Let's go on the front view of Hatcher and see what happened. Ooh, running slightly into the back of Slicker there, knocking Slicker sideways. Oh, and again into the back of Slicker. Oh, and it looks like a bit of retaliation there from Slicker. and I think both cars have picked up damage. So Slicker hangs on. We're right on board now with Stuntman, who's at the back of what's now 5-car group. N10 still hanging on from Breaker, but Breaker is ever so close. Into Kumo. Important to get a good run through the next curve. This is the critical curve, bit curve. Everyone nicely through there, and they're all slipstreaming each other. This is going to get close. And that's Scouser making the move on Jezza. And Jezza flying into the chicane, runs into the back of Breaker ahead, but regains his 3rd place. Now Stunt on the attack, trying to go around the outside of Scouser into the final corner. Coca-Cola, and they're still side by side, but critically Scouser has the slipstream of the cars ahead. N10 still hanging on to that lead from Breaker. Breaker making a move on the inside. It's right on board with Breaker, and cleanly done. He's through. Here's his rear cam. So Breaker up to the lead for the first time at the beginning of lap 4. And do we have a safety car? We do. We're all running slowly, so we have a safety car. And it looks like it might have been between Slicker and Hatcher. So we're right on board with them, and just see what happened there. Coming down the start-finish straight, that's Slicker ahead of us in the Celica. We're on board with Hatcher. They've come together a few times in this race. Late on the brakes from Hatcher, but Slicker half spins in front, and that causes the collision, and that's all got rather messy. So we are now under safety car. So this is Breaker, and what I'm going to do now is fast forward to before the safety car. The yellow flag is repealed. So we've had Slicker, Mamlada, and Hatcher all in the pits, I think. And Breaker's pitted. He picked up damage, of course, on the first corner of lap 1, and he's elected to surrender the lead and come into the pits. So N10 is the race leader, and he's running very slowly, stacking the cars up behind him. Oh, and he's gone. No, he hasn't gone. He's picking it up to 50 miles an hour. N10, as the race leader, chooses to go when he's ready, and then the other cars go when the car in front accelerates, and there goes N10. So it's N10 from Jezza and Scouser, and Stuntman Rick slightly slow away, right on board with Rick because he's got Breaker all over him. And there's nothing quite so intimidating as seeing Breaker right behind you in your mirrors. Into Kumo. Rick hanging on, but Breaker gets the overlap. Now through bit curve. 2 abreast, nicely done. But that slowed these 2 up, and the first 4 are getting away. So we go on board with N10, and here comes Jezza on the outsides. Scouser also having a look. Stunt hanging back a little bit. Oh, and through the chicane, bit of bumping and banging, bit of damage on board N10. Also on board Jezza. Oh, and Jezza into the back, heavily into the back of N10 there. Oh, and cars taking all sorts of avoiding action. Looks like we've got another yellow flag, have we? Scouser in the lead from Stunt. Those 2 well clear following that, but yeah, it looks like we've got another yellow flag. And let's see what damage we've got on Jezza's car. Yeah, there's very heavy damage on Jezza's car, that's why the yellow flag's been called. But that was Jezza into the back of N10, into Coca-Cola. So we're on lap 6 and we're running out of race time here. It's only an 8-lap race, so we'll go on board Scouser and fast forward again another lap. So into the pits that time was Milada, Jezza in an N10. So your race order now, Scouser. With a lap and a half to go, Scouser is in the lead. Can he hang on? Stuntman is second, Rick is third, Breaker is fourth, then Slicker, Hatcher, N10, Jezza and Milada. So Scouser in control of the race. He's been given the permission to go green at the hairpin, the next corner. There he goes. Oh, and look at Breaker already trying to make a move on Rick. Rick again slightly slow off the restart. This is on board with him. Now can Rick hang on to get a podium? Can Scouser hang on to get a win? What a result that would be for him. So here's Rick under pressure from Breaker, and Breaker up the inside into Kumo. Side by side, and Breaker is up to third. Meanwhile, we've got Hatcher and Slicker fighting hard behind us. We'll go on board with Milada as we come down to the braking area for the chicane for the penultimate time. And oh, there's cars off everywhere. Oh, what a disaster. And that's Breaker into the pits. Now we need to see what happened there. So let's ride on board with Rick and see his point of view. So he's just been passed by Breaker, but he's got the slipstream. Breaker defends, and Rick goes for the outbrake and outbrakes himself and straight on. And that doesn't explain what happened to Breaker. So let's rewind and go back on board with Jezza. So Jezza near the back of the pack in 8th place. Brakes late, runs into Slicker, I think it was, but no damage done. So what? So who hit Breaker? Let's go on board with Slicker. Maybe it was him. So we're running behind Hatcher. Oh yeah, that's what it all was. So Slicker into Hatcher and Hatcher into Breaker. And are we going to get a yellow flag from this? This is Scouser. No, we're not going to get a yellow flag. It's too close to the end of the race. So just one lap to go now, and it's Stuntman who passed Scouser into that V-Dog chicane with a lap to go. Close battle though is here for third. It's N10 in third and Milada in fourth. Now Milada needs to pass N10 for the championship. Behind them is Jezza, just a little bit behind. If I go on board N10's car, we can see Milada. N10 a little bit wide through the Mercedes arena, and Milada's got a good run. So N10 defensive now. Next corner to the left-hander, which will help N10. N10 just hangs on to that third place whilst they're battling though. Jezza's getting closer. Oh, a big sideways moment for N10, and again here comes Milada. Now this is a good chance for Milada, but the trouble is it doesn't quite have the straight line speed of the Celica. And if there's one thing you can guarantee about Milada is he won't throw it up the inside and risk a collision. So in the lead, it's this is Stuntman looking back at Scouser, and that should be enough of a lead. This is the battle though, and Milada looking to the outside through Kumo and through. This is Milada's point of view, but is this a tactical ploy by N10 because he's now perfectly positioned in the slipstream as they come down the back straight for the final time? Let's look at this from Jezza's point of view. Here we go, so into the chicane for the final time, 2 cars ahead side by side, and it's N10 from Malada. Now Jezza's trying to make a move. Jezza in 5th. Oh, and he chucks it up the inside into the final corner, but runs into Malada and backs out of it. So it's a win for Stuntman. Scouser 2nd, then these 3 cars, N10, Malada and Jezza, 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Breaker, here he is in a very lonely 6th place. Then we've got Hatcher and Slicker, 7th and 8th. This is on board with Slicker. These two collided a few times already in this race. Into the Vidal chicane for the last time. Oh, lots and lots of curve there from Slicker, but it's going to be Hatcher getting the 7th, 8th for Slicker, and Rick pulled out. Now Rick, if you'd have just kept going with that damage, you'd have finished 6th, mate. But Rick pulls out of the race with a lap to go. So your final results. Let's bring them up on the screen. And we'll just swing the camera slightly for you so that we can see the fastest laps. And the 2 fastest laps set on the last lap by Stunt and Scouser. 2:05.8 for Stunt, 2:05.9 for Scouser. Next fastest is a 2:06.2 to Breaker, and a 2:06.3 for Malada. And Slicker only a 2:09, despite leading for a while. That was obviously set earlier on, I would guess. Right, so we'll have a quick look at the final championship positions, and hope you can see this clearly. Bit of a mistake there on Stuntman's score. It should be 129 instead of 139. So Stunt should be 12 points behind Scale at the end there. N10 hangs on to that 3rd place, and Malada 4th. Scouser got that minor miracle I was talking about. He got 2nd place with Slicker only 8th, and that was enough for Scouser to just pip Slicker by a point for 5th. Then Rick finishes 7th, and then the drivers who didn't do all the rounds like Danny, Turner, Rayman, Jezza, Hatcher and Jordan. Right, well, I hope you've enjoyed my coverage of this league this month. We've got a week off before the next league starts, so tune in to my channel in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll bring you whatever racing I happen to be in next month. I've been VR Stuntman. Please check out our YouTube, our channel, our website on the internet, www.vrroom.org, for the best racing on the net.